Okay, so today we're going to talk about how you can figure out the amount of calories you need to eat to reach whatever your fitness goal may be. Whether that's going to be losing body fat or gaining more weight, we're going to figure out how to do those things together today. So the first thing I want to go over is what your TDEE is, which if you don't know, TDEE stands for Total Daily Energy Expenditure. So that is a total number of calories you would need to consume on a weekly basis or a daily basis in order to maintain your current lifestyle level of activity and body composition that you're currently at. We're going to break down what each section of your TDE is and how it kind of affects how you burn your calories and all those different things and how it affects your maintenance. So we'll start off with EAT. EAT's going to be your exercise activity thermogenesis, which is basically all the energy and calories you're expending during your workouts or planned bouts of training, whether it's a run, a bike ride, a lifting session, swimming, whatever it might be. Anything that's your planned activity for exercise falls under that category. Then you have your TEF. Your TEF is the thermogenic effect of food. A lot of people don't think about it or realize, but when you're digesting, when you're consuming, you're eating, you're chewing, those things require energy from your body, which requires calories, which is why you'll always hear people say that you burn the most calories by consuming protein, because it's the most thermogenic of the foods or macronutrients that we consume. Then you also have your NEAT. NEAT being anything opposite of your EAT. So NEAT is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. I just bit my lip. Anyways, uncomfortable. But your NEAT is stuff like unplanned walks, like you're going on an evening walk with your wife or your husband or walking the dog. It also includes anything between just fidgeting, moving around. Me talking right now is included in my NEAT. When I'm moving my hands while I'm talking and being a little more animated, that's included in my NEAT. My body has to use energy in order to create these movements. And those three things combined make your non-resting energy expenditure, which is your NREE, where you can see these are broken down into a few different components, your NREE and your REE. Then there's your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate. This is what your body needs in order to maintain your current body composition if you did nothing at all. If you laid in bed and just pretty much sat there. No, nothing happening, no movement with your arms, extra limbs, basic bodily function, just laying there. And that is your resting energy expenditures. And so you can see your BMR makes up the majority of the calories that you need to expend on a daily basis. Then a good chunk of it comes from your NEAT, a little bit less from your TEF, and a lot less from your EAT. That's why when people say that, oh, I burnt 400 calories on the treadmill, I get to have those back and eat those later in the day. No, just no. Your EAT is not as effective or important to your total daily energy expenditure as a lot of people may think. So all these things combined create your TDEE. So with that being said, since we know and understand what creates the actual total daily energy expenditure and where they come from, it's time to figure out how we can figure out what our maintenance caloric number is or what the number of our TDEE is. We can come here and we can simply look up TDEE formulas. You get a few, one for men, one for women here. Super easy, go through exactly what they have you do, and you can easily get your kind of basic TDEE number. Now, the big thing you want to think about when looking at this is your activity factors right here. Your activity factors are the multipliers that you use to let them know how active you are, because the more active you are, the more calories you spend on a daily basis. But the less active you are, the more closer to just your BMR that you're gonna be. So they always give it a good example. I love Google for that. They give a decently good example here on how to kind of figure what that number is. And so you can go ahead and use this. Sedentary is little to no exercise. All these websites are going to have you pick some form of activity factor. And with that being said, they're all going to give you a general description of what those factors are. So like sedentary is little to no exercise. Lightly active is 1 to 2 days per week exercising. All those different things. Or if you want to really reduce it and make it much more simple, go to Google and type in TDEE calculator. You are going to find numerous calculators on here that you can use. I go with the first one. It's always calculator or TDEcalculator.net. It's a super easy one. It's pretty widely used. And we can go in here and enter whatever information we'd like. So we can put 25, for age. Maybe say you're 165 pounds, you're a 5'9" male, got a sedentary office job, but let's say we lightly exercise maybe 1 to 2 times a week. We can press calculate right here, and it's going to give us a general number for our daily and weekly total caloric intake to maintain our current lifestyle, activity level, and body composition exactly the way it is. What I want you to ignore are these numbers down here. Don't worry about this. BMI can really lie a lot. All of us know not to listen to BMI because it's just not worth your time. So we're focusing on these numbers up here. Now, what I want to talk about is the accuracy of these numbers. These are a good starting point to gauge where you're at. They're not going to be 110% accurate. I'm going to give 3 different examples, 3 different kind of ways we're going to look at these numbers and adjust them accordingly. First one's going to be if you want to lose body fat, if you have a lot of excess body fat to get rid of. The second one's going to be if you're pretty happy with where your body fat is and where your kind of general body composition is. And then the third one is going to finally be if you really want to gain some weight and muscle on. So starting with the first one being fat loss. We're going to take this number and we're going to drop it by 200 to 300 calories, keeping us around 21 to 2,000 calories maybe per day. And what we're looking for is for that scale to move. Once you're doing your body measurements, taking your photos, watching the scale, after the first week or 2, if you notice the scale has moved, then that means you're in a good deficit. That means it's working. You don't have to go super low if you don't want to. Now, say the scale hasn't moved, which is probably the case for most people with excessive body fat. If your maintenance is around 23.7 and you're eating around 2,000 and you're still not seeing that scale move, drop a little further. Go down to 1.8, 1.7. Keep dropping about 200 to 300 calories total per day until you start seeing that scale move for you. Once you've hit the point where that body fat is coming off and you're at a comfortable caloric intake, stay there until you see the plateau again, then maybe drop a little more calories. And that way you're just keeping up with where your body needs to be. There's no point in being in a super steep caloric deficit, eating less food than you have to, when it's always more comfortable for us to eat more but still lose body fat. Don't stay in an extreme deficit for more than 2 or 3 months. If you're noticing that you're staying in a really heavy deficit and you're not still losing body fat the way you'd like to, then start reverse dieting. Start adding a little more calories in, getting back to your maintenance. So when those calories kind of just stay stable again. Now, if you are on the side of where you're kind of happy with your body fat percentages, but you just want to get a little more toned, a little more muscle on you, then stick with this number. Start exactly with this number. So, I mean, I wouldn't get as specific as getting down to the 70 of calories, but starting off with 2,300 is a super easy and common goal. But starting off with 2,300 is a great starting point. And so what we're looking for is for lean muscle mass to pack on, but the body fat to stay relatively the same. Building muscle is more of a stimulus-based process where you're stimulating and then feeding that stimulus. When it comes to actually losing body fat, that is calories in versus calories out. That is an energy-based process. And so while we can still lose body fat and gain muscle at the same time, when you're eating in a super high surplus, you're more than likely going to gain quite a bit of excess body fat. And so sticking around maintenance will allow you to maintain your current level of body fat, but also pack on some lean muscle tissue, which will all in all actually start reducing your body fat percentage again. Just because the ratio of body fat to lean muscle tissue will start being a little more heavily on the side of lean muscle tissue. Now, if you're on the side of someone, now again, this number is only a starting point. Everyone's maintenance might lie a little lower or a little above this number. So it's important to notice and keep track of progress photos, measurements with a tape measure, and as well as the scale. That way, if you're eating at 23, what is supposed to be your maintenance, and you're gaining body fat, gaining more weight than you want, you can cut back a little bit because obviously that's in a surplus, so it's not exactly your maintenance. Say you're losing body fat still, then you can just bump those calories back up a little bit. Use these numbers on the screen as just a starting point and make sure you adjust accordingly because there's almost no way that it's going to be 110% accurate to what you need to be utilizing. Now, lastly, in the case that you may want to gain a lot of muscle pretty quickly and gain a lot of weight and you're not super concerned about the body fat, take this number, up it by 200 to 300 again. Keep doing that until you're seeing the weight pack on the way you would like to. Keep in mind when you're doing that kind of surplus, you're going to gain more body fat, but you will pack on muscle a little more quickly. If you're doing a heavy bulk and you notice that you're gaining way more body fat than you'd like, then just start cutting the calories back again. If you keep your protein high, what you do with your calories won't immensely affect the amount of muscle you're going to build. So that is the basic form of how you would go through and figure out what your TDEE is, and then calculate what your calories should be or what you should be eating in order to reach the goal you have, whether it's fat loss, adding weight on, or just maintaining where you're currently at. I hope you found this video helpful. Drop a like and subscribe for more videos and content just like this.